Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking. All right. So once we get a couple more people up in here, I'm going to see if you guys are interested in opening up a panel. You know what I'm saying? You guys got to forgive me. I'm having some technical difficulties. So your boy doesn't have, the cool interlude graphics that I usually do. But don't worry, that'll only be for today. You know what I'm saying? We will have them from here on out. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to everybody that's in the room already. We got Mr. Knock in the building. And yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just absolutely streamed. You know what I'm saying? I've been waiting to do this one, but that Akon stuff happened. And I wanted to say something about that because, you know what I'm saying, that's not cool for Akon City to be sitting there looking like Tory Lanez after he just got up out the barber chair and he's sitting there talking crazy about us. You know what I'm saying? We got Kelly in the building. What up with it, Kelly? We got Janesta Coleman in the building. Yes, and absolutely. If you guys can, please make sure that you guys help your boy out by getting those likes up. Also, help your boy out by sharing the video out. All right, whether you share it on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, whatever it is that you do, text it to somebody that you know is interested in these kind of topics. Send it to your groups, whatever you guys can do to help your boy spread the word. Because like I said, I got a goal. We're trying to get 10K by the end of this year. If we get to 10K by the end of this year, not by the end of this year, not by the end of 2022, by the end of 2023, got a surprise for y'all. Got a surprise for y'all. So help your boy make that happen. We got Mimi in the building as well. Shout out to Mimi. So my question for you guys is, how do you guys feel about Joe Biden in a second term? I know that's something that's probably very popular. I know that everybody is probably just ecstatic with Joe Biden's performance. You guys think that Sleepy Joe been doing pretty good, right? Or Sleepy Joe been sleeping on the job? Which one? So you guys know that Kamala Harris, the vice president, she celebrated Kwanzaa, according to her. She celebrated Kwanzaa with some visitors this year because the migrants got dropped off at her front lawn and they didn't have snow shovels with them and they weren't shoveling the snow. They wanted to get into the building, just like how they want to get into the country. I don't know what ended up happening with that. But what I do know is that we didn't get any policies at all this year. We sat around and we watched a bunch of other groups of people get policy after policy after policy after policy. As a matter of fact, they was giving out policies. They were making it rain this year. I know you guys been paying attention to politics. What policies have they been giving out this year? They've been handing them out like candy, like Halloween never ended. Reach in the basket, get you a policy. Shout out to my man, Alonzo Griffin. Like Kevin Samuels will say, on the scale of 1 to 10, he's a 1. Facts. Like Kevin Samuels would say to the voters, if you voted for Joe Biden, you chose wrong. You chose wrong. You know what I'm saying? But some people may think that they chose right. Me personally, I think that was a bad choice. Now, the White House has wished black families a happy Kwanzaa. This happened today. Earlier yesterday, I should say, Monday, December 26th. We don't have anything else to do. We haven't done anything for these people all year. Yeah, let's just wish them a happy Kwanzaa and hope that we get some votes. What do you guys think about that strategy? Is that going to get him any votes next year? What do you guys think? So now here it says President Joe Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, and their spouses wished a happy Kwanzaa to those celebrating as the first day of the holiday honoring, quote unquote, African heritage and Black American culture kicked off on Monday. So what I find fascinating is that the African countries got a nice, fat, healthy Kwanzaa gift. You know how you don't really be caring about the Christmas card. You just tear into that paper, throw the card away or shake the card to see if any money or any gift cards comes out, throw the card away and pocket all the money. That's what the African countries did with their Kwanzaa gift. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Torian Rain. Yeah, that unseasoned wine. Facts. Jill and I wish everyone a happy Kwanzaa, Biden said in a video with the First Lady, adding that they give thanks to the rich heritage of African Americans, which is deep in the story of our nation. That's interesting. Now, the thing is that his governing of this country does not reflect that quote unquote fake appreciation. Shout out to my man Deformed Pretty Boy. What up with it, bro? And that's a fact, Torian. Not every Black American celebrates Kwanzaa. Just ask Kamala Harris about that. She didn't celebrate Kwanzaa and then said that she did. You know what I'm saying? Since its creation in 1966, that's convenient. Shout out to Black Voltron Reloaded, because Black Voltron Reloaded did a Twitter stream that had an extensive history of Kwanzaa on there and where it came from. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Deneen. Facts. Thank us with some reparations. Big facts. You know what I'm saying? The holiday is based on the first fruit celebrations and cultures throughout Africa and is meant to unite Black Americans in community. What do you guys think about that? Now, let me ask you guys a question. If that's indeed what Kwanzaa was created for, has it been effective? If you guys think that Kwanzaa has been effective in uniting us all, you know what I'm saying, all the Black people here in the United States and across the world, the diaspora and the motherland, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't think that this has done its alleged intended purpose, give me a thumbs down. Somebody throw a thumbs down in the chat for me, because I don't think that it works. Torian gave it a big fat thumbs down. Thumbs down. You know what I'm saying? Facts. Mimi says, Rob, sad to say they will find a Black person or people to use Happy Kwanzaa as a Black vote agenda. Bingo. And I really, really hope people don't fall for it. Me personally, I don't think people are going to fall for it. You know what I'm saying? During this celebration, millions will gather with their families to reflect on the struggles and triumphs of the past and look towards a brighter future, Jill Biden said. With each candle you light, we hope your home is warmed by the laughter of your family and friends. You know what? People out here so broke and the cost of electricity is so high, them candles probably the only thing lighting and heating the houses. But okay. And your hands are inspired to creativity. And your heart is filled with determination, faith, and love. Yummy. Yummy. Let's watch this nonsense.
Jill and I wish everyone a happy Kwanzaa.
During this celebration, millions will gather with their families to reflect on the struggles and triumphs of the past and look towards a brighter future. With each candle you light, we hope your home is warmed by the laughter of your family and friends. Your hands are inspired to creativity, and your heart is filled with determination, faith, and love.
We give thanks for the rich heritage of African Americans, which is deep in the story of our nation. In 2023, it's our hope that we'll all remember the wisdom of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, especially the values of unity and faith, as we work to make the promise of our nation real in the lives of every American.
May your Kwanzaa be blessed with hope, peace, and light.
Notice how when it came to even this, Joe Biden found a way to throw in every American. Torian says Jill Biden looks too closely like Marjorie Taylor Greene. They probably related. You know what I'm saying? Each day, families light a new candle on the Kinara, a 7-branch candle holder. Beginning with the black candle in the center and then alternating between the red candles on the left and the green candle on the right. The Kinara is placed on a table with a mat and crops, such as ears of corn. Okay. The 7 days of Kwanzaa represent the 7 principles of Pan-African culture. Umoja, which is unity. Kujachaguya, which is self-determination. Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility, Ujama, which is cooperative economics, Nia, which is purpose, Kumba, which is creativity, and Imani, which is faith. None of those say anything about empowerment. None of those say anything about empowerment. In 2023, it's our hope that we will all remember the wisdom of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. How about write some 7-figure checks? Especially the values of unity and faith. Unity and faith. Now, let me ask you guys a question. Why would he want people to remember unity and faith? What do you guys think? Why should we remember unity and faith? Probably because those will be the 2 best mechanisms to keep people under control. If we live under the delusion that we're all in it together as Americans, and if we have faith in a better tomorrow, then maybe we just won't get rowdy and start tearing shit up. Maybe we'll just sit our asses down somewhere and have a happy Kwanzaa and go ahead and vote blue no matter who from here on out. I don't think so. Homie, don't play that. Harris and second gentleman Doug Emhoff released their own video. You guys want to see their video? I wonder if they released it and it landed in the toilet. Commemorating the holiday with Vice President recollecting memories of celebrating Kwanzaa with her family. Man, she is still telling the lie. She's still singing that same song. All around the world, the same song. Man, come on. I want to hear her talk about celebrating Kwanzaa with her family. What do you got? How do you guys think that went? Kwanzaa at the Harris household. Probably a lot of blackface involved. Probably a lot of nasty food. Yeah. Deneen, yes, absolutely. A Jay and someone from the AAPI community. You know what I'm saying? They did a Kwanzaa video while eating collard greens. It was spinach, and they just said on the camera that it was collard greens. You know what they say about collard greens? You can't eat everybody's collard greens. I definitely wouldn't eat no curry collard greens coming from Kamala Harris's house. She probably don't know how to mix the turnip greens in there with the mustard greens, you know what I'm saying, and cook it with some neck bones, you know what I'm saying? Like, she don't know how to do none of that. My favorite principle was always the second. Whatever the hell this word is. Self-determination, Harris said. The power to design your own life and determine your own future. And it is a deeply American principle, one that guides me every day as vice president. Well, you need to find some new values then, because you do the vice presidenting like you're lost. You vice president like you don't have any guidance whatsoever. Now, let's take a look at this wonderful family, the Harrises. I think they were on an episode of Blackish. All right, let's see what they talking about. If you guys haven't smashed that like button, take a moment, smash the like button, help your boy out. Also, if you guys can, please make sure you guys share the stream. I'm the one sharing the screen because I'm the one doing the stream. I need y'all to share the stream. Let's check this out.
Hello, everyone, and happy Kwanzaa. Doug and I send our warmest wishes to all of you this holiday season.
During Kwanzaa, we celebrate the history and heritage of the African American community and the African diaspora.
Growing up, Kwanzaa was always a special time. We came together with generations of friends and family and neighbors. There were never enough chairs, so my sister and I and the other children would often sit on the floor, and together we lit the candles of the Kinara, and then the elders would talk about how Kwanzaa is a time to celebrate culture, community, and family. And they, of course, taught us about the 7 principles. My favorite principle was always the second, Kujichagulia, self-determination. The power to design your own life and determine your own future. And it is a deeply American principle, one that guides me every day as Vice President.
To everyone celebrating, we hope your week is filled with love and light. From our family to yours, happy Kwanzaa.
Let me tell you something. Anytime somebody says something about love and light, that for the most part is a telltale sign of some sarcastic narcissism. Oh, I wish you love and light. Stop. Come on, man. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's speculation around Joe Biden possibly running for a second term. I wish he would just go outside the White House and run the opposite direction. But no, he's not going to do that. He plans on running another term. Now, let me ask you guys this. And you guys don't have to be scared. Do we have some undercover Biden lovers in the building? Now, if we do have some undercover Biden lovers, it's perfectly fine. I want to know why you love him so much. I want to know why you would vote for him. I want to know what it is that you think that he's going to do that would be beneficial. There's even other Democrats who are hoping that this moron doesn't run again. But now the thing that I find the most fascinating is the blue media, the blue magic media, is sitting here acting like they had no idea that Joe Biden was going to run again. We all know Joe Biden is going to run again for a second term, but they're acting like they don't know if he's going to or not. Let me ask you guys this. Why would they do that? Why do you guys think that they would play those games? The Hill just put out this article on December 24th, Christmas Eve, Kwanzaa Eve. 5 signs Biden is definitely running for another term. Lucky us. President Biden is expected to announce another bid for the presidency sometime in the early months of the new year. Officially, Biden is still considering whether to run for a second term. And the president's age and approval ratings. Listen to this. He is 80 years old. 80 years old. And more people in the polls generally hold a more negative than positive view of his presidency. And it's led some to privately doubt whether he'll go forward. Let me ask you guys a question. That's a lot to unpack. How do you all feel about having someone who's going to be in their mid-80s as the president? First of all. Second of all, let's just pay attention to the pattern of what Joe Biden has done. I want to ask you guys this question. Every time Joe Biden has been addressed with a concern that we have when it comes to us as foundational Black Americans, what has Joe Biden done? He's literally done the opposite of everything that we've asked. The Democrat media has used us as the face of every kind of hate and degeneracy that they possibly can, unapologetically. The issue that I have is that as much as I see people say that they don't support the Democrats, the numbers don't reflect what people say. When it came to this Biden election in 2020, man, he got like 86% support. So my question for everybody is, if people are fed up with the Democrats, why are the support levels still so high? Look at the support levels that Raphael Warnock got. Look at the support levels that Stacey Abrams got. Why are people still supporting them? And my question to you guys is, as a content creator, what can I do to deliver more accurate information to help people see that the Democrats are not the way? Shout out to my man, Jared. What up with it? What do you guys think? This person here says, I love the guy, one Democrat strategist said, but even I have my doubts. Despite such misgivings, most of the signals coming from Biden, the White House, and the Democratic Party suggest that he's planning to run for a re-election. Here are the reasons so many people feel certain that Biden is running again. All right, now let me ask you guys this. If we find out, if we get this information that Joe Biden is indeed going to run for a second term, do you think that anything is going to change from what we've seen this year to next year? That's my question for you guys. MF Doom might be on to something. He says because niggas stuck on stupid. It's that simple. Well, we got to unstick them if that is the case. You know what I'm saying? I agree, Deneen. I think Deneen is saying the same thing that MF Doom said. People who are sold out to the Democrat cult would never listen to you. That's a fact. So what we need to do then is we need to find people who are undecided. And lucky for us, because Biden has done such a horrible job as president, optimistically thinking, I think that there might be more undecided people than we realize. So now my question is, what can we present to people who are undecided to get them to feel the way that we feel, to see the way that we see, to analyze information the way we analyze information? We could tell them to watch Tory and Rain's YouTube channel. They'd get some good information there. We could tell them to watch TD Hip Hop Media's YouTube channel. They'd get some good information there. How do we take hold of and control the narrative? Because this is a David and Goliath story with the mainstream media apparatus and the same people owning social media. Which means that at any moment, any disagreement that we may have with these people, they can turn around and deem all of our content disinformation, which is what they're working towards doing. So how do we deal with that? That's a question that people need to ask moving forward in order to have a more effective voice before 2024. Let's ask this question. Since Joe Biden became the president, has the racial wealth gap improved in comparison to other presidents? Let me know in the comment section. There's not much talk of any Democrat other than Biden jumping into the 2024 fray. Now, here's another question that I have for you guys. Let's just say you're a Democrat. You're not satisfied with Biden, so you're not sold on a second Biden vote. Who else would be a comparable candidate that you may be interested in supporting? Are there any? Is there anybody that anybody would support other than Biden? Typically, around this time in the presidential cycle, there would be strong signals from would-be candidates considering White House runs. Such signals would include visits to early primary states, testing the waters for a formal campaign launch. But there has been very little movement from any prospective Biden challengers, including progressives who might be inclined to challenge the president. Democratic donors and fundraisers also say there isn't much of a discussion of anyone else other than the president running for the Democratic presidential nomination. There's zero talk of anyone else now, one donor said. All eyes are on Biden. So now let me ask you guys this. Have Black people's condition in the United States improved since Joe Biden has been in office? Has it gotten worse or has it stayed the same? Take that into consideration and ask yourself, what does a second Biden presidency look like? What does another 4 years of Joe Biden look like? If you said fire and brimstone, you probably got the right answer, but you might not have said that. Biden has told allies he's in. Biden in recent months has told everyone from former President Obama to close aides and allies that while he's a great believer in fate, as he often puts it, he fully expects to run for the White House again. Asked by NBC's Kristen Welker at a news conference last month about what he would say to 2/3 of Americans who didn't think he should run for re-election, he had a simple retort: watch me. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with a smart mouth, catty answer like that. We don't think that you should run, Joe. You're too old and you're showing signs of dementia. Oh, watch me. That's it? All right. He said, watch me. Biden is known to keep a tight circle of advisors, and they're also sending signals that another run is more than likely. Earlier this month, White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain told attendees at the Wall Street Journal CEO Council Conference that Biden would likely make an announcement following the holiday, and Klain said he believes the decision will be to do it, according to a report in the New York Times. So there's one thing that we can also do. We can start with a list of demands, which the list of demands should be pretty easy since we didn't get anything last time. Shout out to my man Keith Weston. What up with it, bro? We didn't get anything last time. So we still have a fresh sheet of paper. But if he didn't give us anything last time, I think it's naive to assume that he'll give us anything this time. So now we right back at square one. Details of a Biden campaign are beginning to surface. A presidential campaign takes considerable work and help, and there are some signs that Biden is already preparing by sounding out candidates for key positions and considering where to locate his campaign headquarters. Names of potential campaign managers and other senior staff are already beginning to appear in print and in closed-door conversations among top Democrats. Now, I got a question for everybody in the chat. How satisfied is everybody with the efforts that are going on in California to get reparations paid to Californians? If you're satisfied and you think that those people out there are putting in the work and doing a good job, give me a thumbs up. If you don't like what's going on out there, give me a thumbs down. Give me a thumbs up, because I think that those people are doing a great job. I think that being the first really making a hard-hitting impact, there's going to be some bumps in the road and everything's not going to be correct, you know. And I also think, especially being that I'm somebody that was fortunate enough to talk to some of the people on the council like Chris, I think that they're very open to what people in the grassroots have to say. So, you know, you guys saw when me and TD interviewed them and people were concerned about the definitions, they went back and made sure that they took care of that. To me, that was impressive. That shows that they're actually listening. That's important in politics. Yeah, I feel you on the amount, James. But if it wasn't for what was going on right now, I don't even think there would be any discussions at all. And on top of that, I think that if we critiqued the amount, they would work towards pushing it higher. So I'm with you on that. What do you guys think about a demand to Joe Biden to federally support what's going on in California statewide and at a federal level? Not just a study, but all the way down to a payout. because that's what they do in politics. They endorse something by signing it into office at a federal level and then encouraging it on a state level. Encourage federally what's going on in California, or you don't get a vote. Now, here's my question. That sounds good, right? But who's going to say it? You already know that the Democrat media is not going to say that because most Democrats don't support reparations. Democrats are throwing around the word woke and using anti-black rhetoric as if they're on the right. But the thing is that if California is doing it, and that's going to get black people a vote, Joe Biden could possibly lose some support to somebody like a Gavin Newsom. And see, I agree, Deneen. That's one of the huge problems. We don't have political advocacy. So, in my opinion, we need that. That is something that we need to start creating, something that we need to start building. Because what's going to end up happening is the same thing that's always happened. The vote blue, no matter who media, is just going to come up with false narratives. They're going to come up with false priorities, and they're going to parade that around as if it's something that everybody wants. That's been going on for too long, and we should stop that in 2024. Yeah, I agree, Keith. Facts. Grab these people by the face and ears and let them know that we're consistent. Super facts. If you guys agree with Keith, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. So now here it says, now here's the question, right? Reparations is a huge issue. Do you guys remember that closed door meeting that got leaked with Joe Biden where he said that he wasn't going to be doing anything for the civil rights leaders? Do you think that any of those civil rights leaders is going to go in there and say, we need you to endorse what's going on in California at a federal, state, and local level? Do you think that Al Sharpton, his pencil neck, can hold up his bobblehead long enough for him to say that? Or do you think he's just going to pull out his flask and say something stupid? Well, we got to make it so that, I mean, everybody could benefit from this because, we love everybody here in the United States. And, if it benefits black folk, it got to benefit everybody. I always try to figure out why nobody ever stuck him in the dry cleaner along with his suit. Maxine Waters ain't talking about it because she lives life different. You know what I'm saying? I got a little nightcap and I'm sipping. She turning up the Hennessy by the bottle. So she definitely ain't about to be saying anything coherent. You heard what she told that lady outside the homeless place. You're going to be homeless again because we closed. Bye. Damn. Okay. I don't think the Congressional Black Caucus or any of these old talking heads has any steam in them to get anything that we actually want accomplished. If anybody does it, it's going to have to be us. Yeah, these old ninjas. Facts. So now here it says, it's the natural progression for any imminent campaign, one strategist said. Those conversations are happening months before a launch. A report in the Washington Post last week said Biden's team, together with Democratic National Committee, is already considering how to fine-tune their digital operation. Well, I don't know if you guys were aware of what was going on Twitter, but I mean, apparently they were already fine-tuning their digital operation with all the payouts they were paying to Twitter to suppress stories and different things like that. So what we know is that it seems like Joe Biden is going to run for another term. All right. And the thing is that this is not new news. Shout out to my man MC Fact. And that's absolute facts. The young and old don't do right by us. This is an article from The Guardian. And as you can see, this article is more than 1 month old. This article came out Wednesday, October 26th of 2022. Biden is totally running for a second term as president, an MSNBC interviewer says. Jonathan Capehart, who interviewed U.S. president for a TV network, says he is sure Biden is preparing to run again. So now here's the issue. This is one of the issues that I have. Biden already said that he's not going to do anything. All right, Keith, have a good shift, bro. Appreciate you answering tonight, Bob Jarrett. Biden already said that he's not going to do anything. So now if he announces that he's going to run again, here's my question to everybody. How do we deal with that? What's the strategy? We already know what he's going to do because he's been president once. Disrespect, ignore anything we ask about, and write a bunch of legislation for everybody else. Now, in this game, the only piece that we have to play are our votes. Jonathan putting on his cape hard. Jonathan Grapeheart, you know what I'm saying? So he says Joe Biden is totally running for a second term. The MSNBC host Jonathan Capehart has said just days after interviewing the U.S. president. The oldest president ever inaugurated, Biden will turn 80 on November 20th. He's 80. This man could literally pass away of natural causes during his term. He's so damn old. Now, check this out. I'm not mad at that. MC Fact says the strategy is to go to Biden with a black agenda, otherwise no votes. Now, here's the issue that I have. Other people have done it, and there's been no response. There's been no positive response. So if past results and past behavior are indicative of future action, if Biden is approached with a black agenda, what's going to happen? Sure, as long as it includes the indigenous. I'm not writing executive orders. We've seen these things before. Facts, untried genius like Ice Cube. He got put on blast just for having a plan. He told Capehart, I can't even say the age I'm going to be. I can't even get it out of my mouth. You think I'm joking. I'm not joking. No, I don't think you're joking. I think that you probably have, degenerate osteoarthritis in your jaws, and it probably is very difficult for you to get anything out. I take you very serious. Speculation about Biden's age and ambition has become a constant in U.S. politics. Some Democrats have avoided saying he should run again or committing to supporting him if he does. I mean, he doesn't even have support of the Democrats. Republicans, members of a party dominated by Donald Trump, a decidedly erratic 76, regularly claims Biden is too old. Regular Biden gaffes this week included calling Rishi Sunak, the new British Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, have reinforced such impressions in some quarters. Writing for the Washington Post, Capehart said he was sure Biden was ready to run. Capehart said, after my interview, I got the same question over and over again. How is he? Each time it was asked in that skittish way one speaks about when inquiring about someone they fear is in decline. Most people are not feeling a second Joe Biden term, but Joe Biden is so out of touch with reality that he's just going to do it anyway. Yeah, I agree. Did you guys see Roland Martin's interview with the woman from the Reparations Council in California? Man, he was so mad. He was so angry. He was talking to her so disrespectfully. So now, this is what Capehart says. Capehart says, folks, listen to me. Biden is just fine, more than fine. In fact, I came away with two overwhelming impressions. Biden is totally going to run for re-election in 2024, and he doesn't like just being president. He loves the job of president. I mean, who wouldn't? You literally get everything and don't have to do anything. Who wouldn't want that job? Capehart said Biden initially gave his standard answer about not making a formal declaration about 2024 because of the legal implications of such an announcement, but then gave two nonverbal cues. All right. Shout out to Maine. So my question for everybody is, okay, Biden is going to run again. Let's just assume that. What now? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have not smashed the like button, please take a moment, smash the like button. Also, if you guys have not shared the stream out, please make sure that you guys share the stream out, help your boy out. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit the bell icon and subscribe. All right. Biden has rejected all black agendas or anything that represents a black agenda. If you ask me, that's what a second Biden term looks like. And as far as approaching Biden with a black agenda, I could see Biden saying, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And then he doesn't do any of it. Let me ask you guys this. To me, the Democrats are sending a clear message that they have no interest in doing anything other than benefiting from our votes. They have not convinced me that they plan on acting on any of our requests. I'm not convinced of that. Are you guys? Now, what I'd like to suggest is that they need to be held accountable for the benign neglect. So now the question then becomes, what's the most effective way to hold these ineffective politicians accountable? What's the most effective way? Deneen says black people made no request of Biden. I could see that. The only thing is that Ice Cube did attempt to reach out to the Biden administration, and the Biden administration ignored Ice Cube. And then the Biden administration sicked the Blue Magic Media on him. Shout out to Desmond. What up with it, bro? So now here it says, Capehart said Biden initially gave his standard answer about not making a formal declaration about 2024 because of the legal implications of such an announcement, but then gave two nonverbal cues. The first came when Capehart asked if Jill Biden, the first lady, supported another run. Biden looked at me as to say, brother, you know I'm not going there, which I took as my hint to end the interview. But when I started my goodbye, I saw another nonverbal cue, one that signaled he wanted to say more, but wasn't sure he should. I mentioned for the president to tell me more. My wife thinks that we're doing something very important and I shouldn't walk away from it, Biden told me. Formal declaration or not, the man is totally running. Capehart cited an NBC report in which Jill Biden staffer said the family would support a 2024 campaign. Capehart added that Biden's sense of duty had only grown since his son Bull died in 2015. Biden told Capehart there's only one reason to be in public life. Can you make life better for other people? Okay, that's a good question. Has he made life better for us? Have any Democrats made life better for us? Yeah, they told Ice Cube stand back and stand by. Actually, they told Ice Cube get away. They told Ice Cube stand back and sit down. You know what I'm saying? And then they got to vote blue no matter who media on him. And there's no place that you better have an opportunity to do that as the president of the United States. So it looks like it's highly probable that Joe Biden will run for another term. So what that means is that we have about a year to figure out how to deal with this second Biden run. Biden told Reverend Al Sharpton that he will run for a second term in 2024. Biden has said many times that if he remains healthy, he will seek re-election. This was something published on October 3rd of 2022. Let me ask you guys this. Do you approve of anything that Biden's done? Let's check this out.
Need to work together regardless of party lines. And it's my sense that the administration, wants to help.
I've spoken to Governor DeSantis on multiple occasions, as well as this morning, and as well as mayors and county officials, both Republican and Democrat, from the places most affected.
President Biden and Governor Ron DeSantis on how they are working together to respond to Hurricane Ian as political junkies read between the lines for hints of a potential 2024 matchup. Time now for our Sunday group. Politico Congressional reporter Olivia Beavers, former RNC Communications Director Doug High, former DN.
Okay, so now this is good. Ron DeSantis versus Joe Biden, 2024. Who do you guys see winning that matchup? Let me know in the comment section.
RNC Communications Director Mo Alethe and Fox News Congressional Correspondent Chad Pergram. Welcome to all of you. So we keep having these remembrances this week in the wake of Superstorm Sandy, Governor Christie walking with then, President Obama, and a lot of political machinations over how that exactly went down. So now people are talking about this latest matchup, and the Wall Street Journal opinion piece says Ian will require deft handling of Florida's disaster capabilities and the media if DeSantis is going to emerge with his political viability intact. President Biden has to be careful not to appear to be playing politics with federal resources. Doug.
Neither should play politics. This is very difficult work, but politically should be easy. Demonstrate you're a leader, show that you can walk and chew gum at the same time, and that you're doing the best interest for your voters, whether that's the country or that's your particular state. For Ron DeSantis, you should look at this as an opportunity. Be what Donald Trump wasn't. Be Trump with substance. We know that Ron DeSantis is a culture warrior. He likes to get in those fights. But what we're seeing right now is him demonstrating that he's a leader. He's a governor who's in charge. That's the right posture to be, not only politically, but doing what's right.
Culture warrior. What's that mean? What does culture warrior mean? That's important.
Right for your state.
Yeah, and Mo, this morning we have the president tweeting, it's not a crisis in Florida, South Carolina, Puerto Rico. It's a U.S. crisis, signaling that unity.
Yeah, and you've heard the president say this over the past few days as well, that, making direct appeals to the people of Florida that, we are all with you. And I think that is exactly the right message for him to deliver. He'll be going down to Puerto Rico and Florida this week to survey the damage, to work with the local leaders. This actually is a great opportunity for our body politic if DeSantis and Biden appear together and are seen as working together.
Well, and another area where there has been some bipartisan agreement has been the issue of Ukraine, Russia, what's happening there. The Washington Post talking about these latest sham votes, as most people are calling them, with the annexation of Ukraine region. It says the annexation move will effectively slam the door on any diplomatic resolution to the war in Ukraine. Military analysts are warning of a protracted, increasingly deadly conflict. Olivia, where do we stand on how the two parties are responding to the issue of more aid, all the things that feed into this conversation?
Well, the government just passed an interim government spending bill. And as you saw, there was $12 billion in aid. House Republicans largely voted against it. Senate Republicans were much more willing to pass it. But largely, the parties are in support of Ukraine. And it's interesting, even watching Congress sort of do this dance, right? You have Ukraine.
So this is an issue that we need to pay close attention to as well. And I think that this is an issue that, regardless of who people choose to vote for, they need to press about this issue. Why is Ukraine so high on the priority list to get all of this aid while there's Americans out here suffering and there's reparations to be paid? Why is it that we keep getting the same answer when we ask about money? You tell us that there's none available, and then you give away trillions. And we'll be getting to that later.
Ukraine pushing to be admitted to NATO. And President Biden, Speaker Pelosi were both sort of saying, we want to help them as much as possible, but they weren't really giving a yes as to whether they should be admitted because of Article 5. If you attack us, attack one person in NATO, you're attacking all of us.
Yeah, and it seems like it's unlikely they would be fast-tracked, given that it would immediately call NATO troops into the scene of this whole thing. Okay, so talking about this on the Hill this week, which is Chad's specialty, the talk about the Nord Stream 2 explosions, the leaks there, Senator Menendez,
shout out to Tia. What up with
Democrat,
Tia?
weighing in on who he thinks may be responsible.
I think it's Putin's way of sending a message to the Europeans that I can affect you. You think you have the upper hand on me, but I can also affect you.
White House says it's still assessing, trying to figure out exactly who's responsible, Chad, but that issue playing out on the Hill as well.
Don't forget that Vladimir Putin is always playing jujitsu or judo here. We have a midterm election coming up. In 1962, you had the Cuban Missile Crisis just before the midterm elections in 1962. Happened just before. Democrats only lost 5 seats in the House that year with John F. Kennedy. Vladimir Putin has been rattling the nuclear sabers here. Don't be surprised if that issue and Nord Stream 2 and the nuclear issue becomes a problem in October just before the midterms, because that gets into the psyche of the American voter.
Well, and we still have, Russians fleeing the country. We have demonstrations there. Mo, there's continued saber rattling by Putin about potentially using nuclear weapons, including, he says, to defend territory, which he would now define to include these new annexations.
Well, and territory that just in the last day or two, after declaring it now part of Russia, we've seen Russian troops have to withdraw from because of the continued strength of the Ukrainian military. Look, I think Chad is right that that Putin is doing a lot of this in part because he feels like his back is against the wall, but in part because he does want to get into the psyche of the rest of the world. I don't think it's having the same impact that previous efforts to get into the psyche of the rest of the world have had, and you are seeing a more united front by the rest of the world, led by the United States, and that's adding to his anxiety, I think.
And one foreign policy issue that doesn't have a lot of unity, at least when it comes to specifically how it should be handled, is Iran. The Atlantic has a piece talking about the women taking the streets, the thousands and around the world who have been demonstrating against what's happened there and the death of this young woman, 22 years old. They call on the U.S. to do something in this piece, saying the U.S., one step it could take would be to suspend its participation in the talks to restore the nuclear deal. This is an historic opportunity for the two nations to forge a new bond if the U.S. chooses to support Iranians in their hour of need. Doug, this administration seems really bent on getting back to that deal and getting it done.
So now what I want you guys to see, and I want you guys to answer this question for me, is if you ask me, a Joe Biden presidency seems like a presidency that's more concerned with providing funding and support to people outside of the United States than those of us here in the United States. The problem with being a foundational Black American, the problem with being a American descendant of slave, a freedman, native Black American, is that we're not overseas. So if we're already at the bottom of any totem pole, another 4 years of Biden means that all of this nonsense, such as things like the Ukraine war, are going to be prioritized over anything that we consider important. Because what we consider important is automatically the most unpopular thing, just because of people who are white culture warriors like Ron DeSantis, because that's what that whole quote unquote culture warrior thing means. It means maintaining white supremacy, because the culture of this country is white supremacy. And under white supremacy, anything empowering to Black people is against the policy. That's why anything that anybody says is woke. What we need to start doing is we need to start calling Black conservatives the woke Republican vote, just to upset those people. The woke sector of the Republicans, the Black ones, because remember, everything that's Black is woke. So that means your Officer Tatum, your Candace Owens, that's the woke sector of the Republicans. They won't like that, but it doesn't matter what they like. This is InfoWars. This is propaganda battles. World War III, they say, is not going to be fought with missiles, guns. It's going to be fought with information and data. So in an environment where we're dealing with information and data, one of the most important things that we have to do is maintain integrity of our information, which means that we have to be in complete and total control of our narrative. The Democrats can't use the Democratic media apparatus to go around spreading false narratives of interest and priorities. The Democrat and Hollywood media complex, the sports complex, should not be allowed to, quote unquote, pick representatives for us and then go around babbling as if those people are the independent president of Black America. That's not how that works. And that means that if we have to go to war with these media outlets, if we got to go to war with other content creators, if we got to go to war, then that just means that we have to go to war. It is what it is. But that's what they're going to be doing. So we need to counter that.
A possibility that they use this as a bargaining chip?
You know, it's such a prime directive for this administration to go back to the Obama years and cut that deal that it doesn't seem likely they'll do this. But I think everybody's reacted to this in the United States in the same way of what powerful images these are. And you know, as a man, I'd say when you see change affected in the world, who leads it? It's usually women.
Well, the Iranian women have been very strong, literally risking their lives, and some of them losing them in this case. Well, panel, we're going to take a quick break here. Up next, the issue that may be shifting momentum away from Democrats as we hit the final stretch before next.
All right, so there's that. All right, and so we don't need to go through this article because this basically is just reiterating what was said in that article from The Guardian, where it's saying that Joe Biden is implying that he's going to run for a second term in 2024. And again, this article happened as early as October 3rd of 2022. So I think that probably with like 95 at the least 95% certainty, we can say that it's highly probable that Joe Biden will run again. Now, what do we know about Joe Biden? Literally anything that we ask about anything that we think our vote should get us, he's going to automatically say no to. So now the question is, how do we deal with those no's? That's the question. We know he's going to say no. How do we deal with the no's? Now, this is another article from The Hill that came out on the 26th. And it says Biden's rickety polling exposes the flaw in his media cheerleaders. What's that mean? What's that mean? With the Democrats managing to dodge the normal midterm disaster, suddenly President Biden has become a political juggernaut with his nomination for a second term practically a foregone conclusion, at least according to the New York, Washington leftist punditocracy. Too bad nobody asked the voters. Unfortunately for the Democrats and their allies in the media, Biden's polling remains weak, and rumblings to replace Biden on the 2024 ballot are more than likely not going to get louder in 2023. The newfound enthusiasm for Biden is even more puzzling, given that practically no Democrat wanted him anywhere near their campaign. That's important. No Democrat wanted him anywhere near the campaign. What does that tell you about him? Nevertheless, when you look at polling just before the midterm election and current polling, there is not much difference in public unease with Biden. In the most recent YouGov, 54% of voters don't want Biden to run again, with just 26% in favor. What do you guys think about those numbers? Let me tell you guys something. Those disapproval numbers are so high. If they continue to make us the face of Biden voting, that makes us look really bad. Literally everybody hates Biden, but they're going to put us as the face of the people who vote for Biden. That makes us look really bad. Every demographic is against a Biden re-election attempt, except black voters who back a Biden re-elect at 46% in favor to 32% against. Why? Why? We need to stop there and talk about that. Why? The only group of people that Biden literally did nothing to or did nothing for and had a negative effect on their life here in America is the group of people that supports him the most. Why do those numbers look like that? Shout out to Tia for answering the Nightbot. So now Deneen brings up a good point. Deneen says nothing will wake these people up. If you guys agree with Deneen, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with Deneen, give me a thumbs down. Now, here's the issue. If the problem is that nothing will wake these people up, where does the problem lie? Is the problem with politics, or is there an internal problem that we got to deal with first? Because if we don't deal with the internal problem, we're not going to get to the part where we need to be dealing with politics. Right? Because they're going to constantly keep us from where we need to be at. So let's figure that out. We need to deal with the internal problem of the people that we can't wake up. And shout out to MC Fact for answering the Nightbot. Appreciate it, bro. I want to read this again. Every demographic is against a Biden re-election attempt except black voters. Now, if 46% of black voters support a Biden re-election attempt, that means that he's going to have a lot of people voting for him when he does run again. So we got to talk about these numbers. Shout out to Mike Jefferson. Mike Jefferson says, I think FBA are waking up. I think some of us are. But my thing is if we're waking up, right, then why is it that every demographic in America is against a Biden re-election attempt except black voters who back a Biden re-election at 46% in favor of 32%? Why is that like that? Why is that number like that? I agree with Jared. There's an internal problem. We have to deal with the people amongst us who continue to keep just doing this nonsensical stuff. Now, here's the question. How do we deal with them? How do we deal with them? This result, not much better from the week prior, where 55% of voters were opposed to a Biden reelect with just 21% in favor. And out of this, it's black people who want him reelected. Man, are you serious? Like, when you work so hard to try to get information to people, when you work so hard to try to get people to make sensible decisions, and you see stuff like that, how do you get the gas to continue to keep doing what you're doing the next day? How do we explain those numbers? We can't ignore them. How do we explain them? How do we explain those numbers? Democrats only favor Biden reelect at a 47% in favor to 27% opposed. Ominously, self-identified liberals are against a Biden reelect, 41% to 38% in favor. Given that it is the ideologues, both liberals and conservatives, that have outside influence in the primary process, any weakness with that base is concerning. Like, literally the only guaranteed base that Biden has is the group of people that he's disrespected the most, black people. And that's true. That's facts, Tia. And more than likely, those numbers are. And exactly, deformed pretty boy, they're not breaking down who. And that's important. And I think that that's something that we need to start demanding. But see, now the thing is that, let me ask you guys this. The Vote Blue, no matter who media, will never break that down, because it's more beneficial for the Vote Blue, no matter who media, to put everybody in a big basket and call us all black people instead of breaking us down by ethnicity. It's the same thing. They kind of the same thing that they do with Latinos. They don't talk about Puerto Ricans. They don't talk about Mexicans. They don't talk about Dominicans. You know what I'm saying? They talk about Latinos, or they'll say something like Latinx. You know what I mean? So I think we have to establish ourselves as a permanent group. As one way to get across common political goals. We're talking about just standard foundational black Americans, descendants of slaves. We're not talking about radical feminists. You know what I'm saying? We're not talking about immigrants. We're talking about black people that can trace their ancestry to a plantation. That's who we're talking about. The mainstream media is not going to break that information down because it's not beneficial for them to do. That's one of the reasons why we got to have our own think tanks and why we got to get our own information, because that kind of information is extremely important for us, but it would be detrimental to the media. It'll be detrimental to the Democrats. It'll be detrimental to the Republicans. So as long as they can not utilize it, or as long as they can have it not available, they're going to do it. And remember, these people literally believe all of the stereotypes that they make up about us. So, you know, the Democrats and the Republicans say that we're lazy and commit all of the crimes. They're arrogant. They're going to actually believe their own propaganda. So now when we come out and talk about our dissatisfaction with data collection and show our own data collection, they're going to have to scramble. So now here it says, the curious thing about the rush to a Biden coronation in the media is how the various pundits and psychopaths are running the opposite direction of the public. So pay very close attention to that as well. What you're seeing in the media, with the media supporting Biden, is the exact opposite of what the numbers are saying. That's nothing new, right? The mainstream media, who always says that what everybody else says is disinformation, is constantly putting out disinformation. We already know that. We're already well aware of that. We're already well equipped to deal with that paradigm. You know what I'm saying? Since the Democrats' midterm overperformance, Biden's polling is not improving. So despite the fact that there wasn't a red wave, people still are not approving of Biden. Yeah, I agree. Tia says other groups let you know they are not all the same. We need to not cower when the topic of defending those of us that are Indian or in the land, as opposed to as native or generational immigrant. Yeah, facts. I forget what I was watching. Oh, it was some video. Matter of fact, it was like a video where Tariq Nasheed was debating with American Cholo. It was on some YouTube channel. And the guy from American Cholo tried to say we're all immigrants. Nobody, you're an immigrant. You know what I'm saying? We're all not immigrants. That if we were all immigrants, anytime anything involving Black Americans is brought up, Joe Biden wouldn't deflect to talking about immigrants. That's the reason why Joe Biden does that, is to change the subject. Well, we're going to change the subject to this group of people. So now here it says, in the late October YouGov benchmark, support for Biden reelect was underwater at only 22% in favor and 54% opposed. Nobody is supporting this guy. Shout out to Jared for answering the Nightbot. But now we're going to have the mainstream media. We're going to have the vote blue, no matter who media. We're going to have everybody coming out talking about we need to vote for this person. Why? What are you talking about? We do not need to vote for this person. The only people that we need to vote for are people that are going to do what we tell them to do. If you're not going to do what we tell you to do, you don't need to have our vote. We're not doing business. Are you serious? Terrible numbers, but the deficit of 32 points is a bit narrower than the current deficit of 34 points. While that erosion is not large and can be considered roughly the same, the real problem lies inside the aggregate numbers. In October, Biden could at least count on support from a plurality of liberals, 36% in favor, 31% opposed. Not anymore. So I want you guys to understand this, man. The Democrats don't even support this dude. There's only one group of people that supports him. When broken down by race, quote unquote, Black people support him. So now here it says Biden actually is barely ahead of Trump on this re-election question, but not much. Currently, a Trump re-election is opposed by 56% of the public and supported by 27%. Republicans favor a Trump re-elect by 27 points, as opposed to Biden's 20-point disadvantage with the Democrats. Like Biden, Trump has a problem with the GOP ideological base, having just a 12-point advantage with conservatives against Biden's 3-point advantage. The positive momentum for Biden looks more like an artifact of the Washington, New York liberals' obsession with Trump. Looking at Biden's favorable, unfavorable ratings, he has experienced some modest improvement. So what they're doing is the same thing that they always do. They're utilizing Trump as a boogeyman to try to boost Biden's campaign. Exactly, Jared. Where's that lesser of two evils BS come in? Facts. And shout out to Jared for answering the Nightbot. And real quick, guys, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please make sure you take a moment, smash the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe, hit that bell icon, and also please share the video out because the YouTube algorithm is not going to do it. So now here it says in the YouGov poll, Biden has gone from a 43%, 50% net unfavorable in October to a 46%, 49% unfavorable. Morning Consult has Biden not improving at all on his 43% to 54%. So now, do you guys remember when Joy Reid and all of them were talking about disinformation? You guys remember when Tiffany Cross said, all of you people that listen to Kevin Samuels and Tariq Nasheed? What about the people that listen to The Hill? What about people that read The Hill? I mean, this isn't really doing wonders for anybody looking to find a reason to support Biden. Right? So now here it says with both Biden and Trump, the media and pundits are mistakenly focused on the favorable, unfavorable numbers. Since Biden got the Democratic nomination in 2020, Democratic and Republican voters have treated this question as a proxy for partisanship. Democratic approval for Biden has almost exactly mirrored their disapproval for Trump. Biden's rating is 87% favorable and 11% unfavorable, compared to 84% unfavorable and 13% favorable for Trump in the December 15th poll. In October, the comparable for Biden was 84-14 favorable split, and Trump a 16-82 unfavorable split. Similarly, Republicans have exhibited same behavior, at least until recently, as Trump's numbers have started falling. GOP loathing of Biden has been a consistent as Democrat loathing of Trump. In October, Republicans disapproved of Biden 88% to 11%. The most recent YouGov has that split at 83% to 16%. Tellingly for their political futures, both Biden and Trump are disliked by independents. So, I mean, like, nobody's happy with any of these candidates. Currently, Biden has just a 38% approval with independents and a 49% unfavorable. Trump is down 36% to 49%, and these numbers have barely budged since October. So now this is important right here. Democratic voters are shopping, guys. What does that mean? So that's something that people should pay attention to, because that's another area of competition that we have to deal with a lot of foundational Black Americans moving away from, being a Democratic voter. It looks like a lot of people are saying the hell with the Democrats. Facts. Moral people never choose evil. That's big facts, Jared. A lot of Democratic voters are shopping. What does that mean? What this means is that the Democrat politicians are not guaranteed Democrat voter support. Now, let me ask you guys this. Can we use that dynamic to our advantage? If we can use that dynamic to our advantage, give me a thumbs up and let me know how. Now, they say Democratic voters are shopping. Here's the next question. What Democratic voters are shopping? Which ones? And what or who are they shopping for? See, that's an important question. Both Biden and Trump are benefiting from having no announced primary opponents. But the fact is that Democratic voters are more restless and ready to jump ship than Republicans. The Democrats have some problems. Now, think about this. The Democrats have all of these problems. How did they win the midterms? Isn't that a little bit inconsistent? Democrat voters are ready to jump ship, but somehow they won the midterms. How's that work? Is that making sense? That doesn't sound like it's making a lot of sense, at least to me. Is it making any sense to you guys? We're reading this article in The Hill where it's sitting here telling us, hey, guess what? Democrat voters, they're not 100% certain they're going to give Democrat politicians their support. Yet, just months ago, they won most of their midterms. Going back to the end of September, Biden has failed to score a majority of Democratic support in any putative primary ballot. Biden is struggling. I think it's important for us to find out which Democrat voters are ready to jump ship. I think it's even more important to find out which Black Democrat voters are ready to jump ship, which is probably not a lot because you saw the support level. We saw the support level. The support level is still high for some reason. You know what I'm saying? So now here says since the midterms, his best result is an Emerson poll where he tops out at just 42%. Most polls have him under 40%. The recent Harvard-Harris poll has Biden at 36%, with Kamala Harris at 10%, Bernie Sanders at 7%, and Pete Buttigieg at 6%. But unease among Democratic voters does not count for much, at least for now. Presidents have enormous institutional power within their party. No modern president has been unseated by an insurgent primary opponent within their party. Presidents Truman and Johnson both quit the race when they lost in early primaries, but it should be noted that in their day, they could have bullied their way to the nomination, as party primaries did not control a majority of the convention delegates. Past serious primary challenges have mostly served as warnings that the incumbent president is in trouble. In fact, in every situation where an incumbent president was faced with a serious challenge, 1952, 1968, 1976, 1980, 1992, the president or his party have lost in the general. Biden certainly has the power to short circuit most challenges. I don't agree with that. I don't think Biden really has any power at all as far as influence. He has a powerful Democratic machine behind him. But as far as him changing anything on his own, no. So now, this is interesting, this baby boomer dynamic. Let's talk about this. Why do you all feel that the baby boomers are so stuck in their ways? Is it just because of natural aging? Because, you know, it's fair to say that as we get older, we get into a routine, and the familiarity of that routine kind of governs our life, right? But I don't think that that's the issue here. I think there's something else at play. Because how do you get stuck in a routine when there's a different person running all the time? There's no Black person alive today that has voted for the same person their entire life. Which what that says is that they're voting for the party and not looking at the policies. How do you develop a habit doing something that constantly changes? Think about that. Deneen says the loyalty to the Democrat cult is passed down from our parents and our church leaders. So what's important is we have to change that. How do we do it? You know, a lot of these people still think that CNN and MSNBC are real news. They actually think that That's the news, not to be argued with. So now here it says there is virtually no chance of Harris or Buttigieg will challenge their boss. After getting way too ahead of himself, Gavin Newsom has had to make a humiliating retreat. Fellow geriatrics Senator Elizabeth Warren and Hillary Clinton are less constrained, but not likely. Incredibly enough, after Harris, Bernie Sanders poll better than any other Democrat against Biden. But it's worth noting he's even older than Joe Biden. In the end, Biden and Trump remain attached at the hip politically. As long as Trump is front and center, Biden can hang on and ignore public sentiment. So again, this is an interesting dynamic. If people weren't so terrified of Trump, Biden wouldn't have a chance. The only reason why Biden is relevant, according to this article from The Hill, is because of people's attitudes towards Trump. How crazy is that? That's not using your brain at all. Is that using critical thinking at all? Seriously. Is that using critical thinking? That's crazy. So now here it says, but Trump is sliding. If he's faced with a younger, more energetic Republican like Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, the whole landscape changes. Undoubtedly, Democratic voters will convince themselves DeSantis or any Republican is just another Trump, but it's hard to believe the enthusiasm will be the same. And independent voters are clearly ready for someone else. When you get beyond the spin and insular DC herd thinking, Biden and Trump look like identical partisan Titanics with voters hoping for an iceberg. Now, what I find interesting about this is that it didn't go into detail about which voters have which particular concerns. There's literally been, I haven't seen any mainstream media articles that actually go into detail and talk about the specific reasons why Black Americans are not satisfied with Joe Biden and the Democrats. I think that that's an essay that people need to do. It amazes me how mainstream media just literally, they ignore YouTube, they ignore Twitter, they ignore Facebook posts, they literally ignore all social media. Like there's a whole sector of Twitter with people talking about reparations and they just ignore it. It's not an important issue. Make it make sense. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment, smash the like button. We don't have any money except for this $1.7 trillion complete with Ukraine aid. How many of you guys knew about this? Anybody keeping track of how much money Joe Biden and the Democrats have given to other groups of people? If you've been keeping track, here goes another 1.7 trillion to add to it. Right, Tia. We just don't have the money for that. Well, how do you have the money for this? $1.7 trillion. And Ukraine is getting their piece of the pie. Give it here. I want that corner piece. All the whipped cream, you know what I'm saying? All the frosting, shove it right over here. Put it over here on this part of the plate. There you go. Thank you. $1.7 trillion. Facts, man. $1.7 trillion. Joe Biden said that he has black people's backs. Then he turned around and gave Africa $50 billion. Let's look at this. Might be a commercial here. Yeah, this is an ad. So this will start. This will start in about 20 seconds. So real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed that like button, please make sure that you smash the like button. Also, if you guys haven't done the poll that's in the comment section, please take a moment and do that poll. And if you guys got a notification for this stream, please let me know in the comment section by giving me a thumbs up in there.
Federal government nearly 3 months after the initial deadline. That initial deadline was September 30th. Then they punted the deadline until December 16th. And then they punted the deadline again to this coming Friday. And they finally unveiled it. When?
With days left before Christmas, Democrats and Republicans have reached an omnibus agreement completed at 1:15 a.m. early this morning.
When do they want to have the votes? Just in a matter of a couple of days. And this bill, more than 4,100 pages, will have very little time for public review, very little time for lawmakers themselves to read it before they are required to vote on whether or not to essentially pass this to avoid a government shutdown.
Thanks. So pay very close attention to that. Let's listen again. There was a lot, and he's talking really fast. I want y'all to hear everything that they said.
Lawmakers finally unveiled the bill to fund the federal government nearly 3 months after the initial deadline. That initial deadline was September 30th. Then they punted the deadline until December 16th. And then they punted the deadline again to this coming Friday. And they finally unveiled it. When?
With days left before Christmas, Democrats and Republicans have reached an omnibus agreement completed at 1:15 a.m. early this morning.
When do they want to have the votes? Just in a matter of a couple of days. And this bill, more than 4,100 pages, will have very little time for public review, very little time for lawmakers themselves to read it before they are required to vote on whether or not to essentially pass this to avoid a government shutdown.
Things should be done differently, more responsibly, with more foresight and more planning.
This process has become normal here on Capitol Hill over the last couple of decades, rolling everything into one massive bill, and it's caused a lot of frustration among members. Now, a little bit about what's in this $1.7 trillion proposal. We'd fund every federal agency. It would also include roughly $45 billion in aid to Ukraine, another $38
Did you guys hear that? Another
$1 billion in disaster relief. It also includes about $5 billion for Ukraine. Another agency. It would also include roughly
another $45 billion to Ukraine. Another $45 billion to Ukraine. Are any of our tax dollars getting reinvested in the United States? That's a question that we should ask all the politicians, regardless of whether it's a Democrat, whether it's a Republican. How much of our tax dollars are getting reinvested back into the United States? Another $45 billion to Ukraine, guys.
billion in aid to Ukraine, another $38 billion in disaster relief. It also includes about $5 billion for veterans who suffer from those toxic burn pits, which is a key issue in this past Congress. And it also includes some key provisions, including overhauling the Electoral Count Act, an effort to prevent another January 6th moment where we saw last time Donald Trump to pressure his vice president, Mike Pence, to overturn the election results. That cannot be allowed under this legislation now going forward. The people who made this agreement are the leadership, the leaders on both sides in the House and the Senate, the senior appropriators on those key committees. but not the rank and file members and not most members of Congress who will essentially have to vote yes or no on this bill that they had little input in shaping. Now, ultimately, this bill has been unveiled, likely to pass, even though members may not know what's in it.
So now, what I want to show you guys there is, did you see how the expectation is that the person is outraged that they're supposed to vote on this bill, yet they didn't have any input in constructing it? We vote on these politicians and never have any input on what they do. And that's been going on for a long time. And that's not how politics is supposed to work. I think it was MC Fact in the comment section that said we're supposed to practice quid pro quo. I agree. In a quid pro quo situation, politicians do what you ask them to do. And the reason why is because you provided them your vote. A $1.7 trillion spending bill financing federal agencies through September and providing more aid to a devastated Ukraine cleared the House on Friday as lawmakers race to finish their work for the year and avoid a potential government shutdown. The bill passed mostly along party lines, 225 to 201. It now goes to President Joe Biden to be signed into law. Passage of the bill represented a closing act for Representative Nancy Pelosi's second stint as House Speaker, and for the Democratic majority she led back to power in the 2018 election. Republicans will take control of the House next year, and Representative Kevin McCarthy is campaigning to replace her. He is appealing for support from staunch conservatives in his caucus who have largely trashed the size of the bill and many of the priorities it contains. He spoke with a raised voice for about 25 minutes, assailing the bill for spending was too much and doing too little to curb illegal immigration and the flow of fentanyl across the U.S.-Mexico border. This is a monstrosity that is one of the most shameful acts that I've ever seen in this body, McCarthy said of the legislation. The speech prompted a quick quip from Representative Jim McCowan, who said after listening to that, it's clear he doesn't have the votes yet, a reference to McCarthy's campaign to become Speaker. Pelosi said we will have a big bill here because we had big needs for the country, then turned her focus to McCarthy. It was sad to hear the minority leader say that this legislation is the most shameful thing to be seen on the House floor in this Congress, Pelosi said. I can't help but wonder, had he forgotten January 6th? Regardless of any of this, this is all money that the United States government said that they didn't have. Exactly. If you guys agree with Deneen, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Congress people are called representatives, but they don't represent their constituents at all. They represent the lobbyists and the big corporations and wherever else they're getting money from for their campaigns, because that's all that they care about is money. That's all that they care about is the money. You know what I'm saying? The Senate passed the defense-heavy measure with significant bipartisan support on Thursday, but the vote was much worse split in the House. Some 30 GOP lawmakers promised to block any legislative priority that comes from those Republican senators who voted for the bill, and leadership urged a no vote. See, no vote is a strategy that is used. They do it right there. So for the people that say, no vote is not a strategy, it is a strategy. They use it right there in Congress. Yeah, facts, man. The bill runs for, look at this. This is how big the bill is. 4,155 pages, not including amendments the Senate added. It contains about a 6% increase in the spending for domestic initiatives to $772.5 billion. Spending on defense programs will increase by about 10% to $858 billion. The bill's passage came only hours before financing for federal agencies expires. Lawmakers have passed 2 stopgap spending measures to keep the government operating so far for this budget year, and a third was set to pass Friday as well to ensure services continue until Biden could sign the full-year measure called an omnibus into law. The massive bill wraps together 12 appropriations bills, aid to Ukraine, and disaster relief for communities recovering from hurricanes, flooding, and wildfires. It also contains scores of policy changes that lawmakers worked to include in the final major bill being considered by the current Congress. Lawmakers provide roughly $45 billion for Ukraine and NATO allies, more than even Biden requested, an acknowledgement that future rounds of funding are not guaranteed with a new GOP-led House. In a dramatic address to a joint meeting of Congress on Wednesday night, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky told lawmakers that the aid was not charity, but an investment in global security and democracy. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree with that? Shout out to Alonda. What up with it? Yeah, that $55 billion to the African continent is a nothing burger. That's super facts. And shout out to Jared. Make sure you guys drop some radiation emoji for Jared for answering the Nightbot. Jared been hitting that Nightbot. And shout out to everybody that's answering it. If I missed anybody, you know what I'm saying, I apologize. Jared just been answering it so much, I'm catching him every time I glance over at the comment section. Yeah, I agree. It's charity. It's absolutely charity. They're not doing anything for it. What are we getting back from it? What are we getting in return for spending all that Ukraine money? How is that benefiting the taxpayers here in the United States? Right. How is the African continent going to split that? So now here it says, though Ukraine aid has largely had bipartisan support. So don't let Fox and New York Post and all of the conservative talking heads, don't let them fool you. As you can see here, the Ukraine funding has had bipartisan support. If it's one thing that they're on code about, it's giving Ukraine a bunch of money for nothing. We may not do this, we may not do that, but one thing that we will do for certain is give Ukraine a whole bunch of money. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. Some House Republicans have been critical of this effort, arguing that the money is better spent on priorities in the U.S. I mean, I agree on that. Look at this. How can we send an additional $47 billion to Ukraine for security while terrorists, drugs, and criminals flood our southern borders? Tweeted Representative Matt Rosendale. $100 billion to Ukraine. Let's put that in perspective. Retweeted Representative Thomas Massey, who included past rounds of aid in his count. That's more than $200 million this year from each congressional district. What could your congressman have done for your district with $200 million? Yeah, I agree. And that's the problem with the Republicans, is that any black legislation, anything, they're going to automatically block it because they're a far right white nationalist political party. You know what I'm saying? McCarthy has warned that Republicans would not write a blank check for Ukraine in the next Congress, despite the fact that it just said earlier that the funding has received bipartisan support. Republicans will absolutely quietly write a blank check for Ukraine. Just like how Republicans also supported LGBTQ marriage quietly. Do you guys remember that? Oh, you know, our God, guns, and values, and marriage and family, while we quietly sign off on LGBTQ marriage. Yeah, Kamala was supposed to be handling the border. Her idea of handling the border was unwrapping a Nacho Del Grande. You know what I'm saying? That was her idea of handling the border, unwrapping a Nacho Del Grande with a Baja Blast. Not exactly what they meant. They called her the border czar. She went down there with some Kwanzaa candles to educate people. I had this one. It smells like cinnamon here. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously? Me and my family, we sat down. Somebody should ask her, when you sat down, did you sit down Indian style? Just asking. You know what I'm saying? Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said after Thursday's vote, he's having trouble understanding the concerns. No, he's not. You're not having trouble understanding the concerns. What are you talking about, dude? I'm just having trouble understanding this stuff. I'm just befuddled by some of these right-wing Republicans who don't want to help Ukraine, Schumer said. I mean, I just don't understand. I'm befuddled by a lot of these people like Schumer who want to fund Nazis. That's what I'm befuddled by. Excuse my French. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know any. Comment allez-vous? You know what I'm saying? Mercy. It's always been the more hard right you were, the more anti-Soviet you were. But all of a sudden, they're pro. I hope it's not a residue of Trump. I mean, like, come on, dude. Pro-Soviet? The Soviet Union's not even around anymore. Like, these people literally use talking points that they need to use on their own things on us. Sitting here talking about no slaves were alive today. Victims of Jim Crow and black codes are alive today. Oh, these guys are pro-Soviet. Soviet Union like hasn't existed God knows how long. What are you talking about? I'm saying, like, bro, what are you talking about? Let me ask you a question. Why are you supporting Nazis? The only thing he'll do is just scrunch his face up. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever seen his face be all scrunched up? Well, I'll take his glasses off like Shannon Sharp did. Oh, I'm starting to sense a little anti-Semitism in this conversation here. Anybody else sense any anti-Semitism? I mean, if that's what you want to call it. Yeah, me too. I sense anti-Semitism too, because you're sending $45 billion to Nazis. It's not coming from me, Schumer. You idiot. Alonda says, Zelensky, in my opinion, wants this war to continue so he can collect and hoard all the money and aid sent to his country. Is that a fair argument? I mean, it's a fair assumption. What's he doing with it? They keep saying how man, ever since this has been happening, they keep saying how Ukraine is kicking Russia's ass. But then they show pictures of all these people from Ukraine running from these buildings as they're burning down, and the war is still going on. Like, I mean, if Ukraine is beating Russia down like that, send them home already. And then you got Putin just sitting at a table with his hands crossed, talking about this could become nuclear at any point. Like, this dude is just sitting here trolling and shit. He done threatened to start the nuclear apocalypse like 5 times. It's a weekly occurrence now. I am Vladimir Putin and we have nukes. Every day. Don't nobody even take this shit serious anymore. People need to start taking Kim Jong-un serious. Kim Jong-un keeps a perfect fade. And as soon as he gets up out of the barber chair, he goes and gets his Tyco remote control and launches a damn nuclear weapon towards Hawaii and shit. You know what I'm saying? His little short ass in the barber chair sitting on some damn phone books. He rips the damn apron off, hops down from there, gets his little Tyco remote control, and just starts playing Battleship and stuff. Like, can we? I mean, what are we gonna do about that? Yeah, we all gonna be vaporized, messing around with these people. They don't care. They don't care. And President Z just sitting there with the same facial expression that he's had for the last 12 years. I'm going to take over the whole world. Like, okay. Real shit, Mike. That's a whole nother story for another day, but real shit. The Senate passed the funding package Thursday by a vote of 68 to 29, but it takes time for the Senate clerk office to review the bill and include amendments that were added that day. As a result, the bill ended up passing with a half-empty House chamber. More than 220 lawmakers sought the opinion to vote by proxy, and many raced to get out of town before risking canceled flights and spending Christmas in Washington. So they just wanted to get up out of there so they can go kick it. Hurry up and sign this. Hurry up and vote this so I can get out of here. It's time for me to get off. I'm off the clock now. You know what I'm saying? Republicans have vowed that abolishing the practice of remote voting will be among their first acts in the majority next year. The funding bill also contains roughly $40 billion in emergency spending in the U.S., mostly to assist communities across the country recovering from drought, hurricanes, and other natural disasters. And it has scores of policy changes, largely unrelated to spending, that lawmakers worked furiously behind the scenes to include. They start from scratch next year in a divided Congress where Republicans will be returning to the majority of the House. One of the most notable examples was a historic revision to federal election law that aims to prevent any future presidents or presidential candidates from trying to overturn an election. Like, they just doing too much with that. Yeah, I feel represented. This is all stuff that I care about deeply. You know what I'm saying? Can you hear it in my voice? So look at this. The bill also provides roughly $15.3 billion for more than 7,200 projects, which we don't know what the hell those are, that lawmakers sought for their home states and districts. Under revamped rules for community project funding, also referred to as earmarks, lawmakers must post their requests online and attest that they have no financial interest in the projects. Still, many fiscal conservatives criticize the earmarking as leading to unnecessary spending. So now then they just got a whole bunch of pictures down here of Nancy Pelosi. She looks rough. You know what I'm saying? She's always looked rough. Look at her. She's looking at George Bush rough. She looked like she kind of close with George Bush, don't she? Look, she looking at him. Now look right here. She all behind him, and George Bush leaned back into it. Yep. You know where I'm going after this party. That's that face right there. You know where I'm gonna be at when we get done here. Turning my phone off. He leaning into it. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. I don't know if you guys know, but her husband is a drunk. And from what I understand, there was some weird, questionably LGBTQ nude scandal going on. He should be in jail, you know what I'm saying, because he was driving drunk and damn near killed somebody. But that's those benefits that you get. Is there money for Jackson and Flint? That's a good question. Probably not. I think when people talk about a black agenda, Jackson and Flint should definitely be mentioned. Her hubby is bi. I'm not even about to say nothing. I'm not even saying nothing. So look at this right here. Afghanistan, inflation, far left agenda, Mar Biden's report card at the midway point. All right. So this article is from the Washington Times. All right. And the date of this article is Monday, November 26th. So what I want you guys to realize is that this is all new news. No one is rocking with Biden, man. That dude he was messing with, yeah, terrorizing him, chasing him around the bed in some tighty whities and a leather mask on. Nancy came home. What are you doing? Left right back out the house and left some liquor on the table. You know what I'm saying? Old boy that was wearing the tighty whities and the dominatrix mask chased him downstairs. He grabbed a bottle of Mad Dog 2020 on the way out and hopped in the car. He was so stressed out and shaking, he was looking like he had Parkinson's disease, drinking and driving. Turning around looking, oh my gosh, this freak is chasing me down the street at light speed. Oh boy, with the tighty whities, the Fruit of the Loom, and the dominatrix mask, running down the street looking like the T500. Perfect form, like Usain Bolt, about to catch up to the car and jump on it. Nancy Pelosi's husband is looking back and not looking at the road. Bam! There was a car right in front of you at a stoplight, bro. And you got dirty breath. It's a wrap. You're supposed to be in jail. He goes to the court. You Pelosi's husband. Wear this ankle monitor for a little bit. Yeah, hammer time. It was hammered time. Now. He was driving down the street like, can't touch this. Freaking out. I bet you his toupee was on sideways. I was going down that day. I wish somebody had recorded that. Oh man, they be sniffing people. They be sniffing babies' underwear. What's wrong with them? Man, don't vote Democrats, man. They out here doing way too much. Oh, but what is his name? Is his name Paul Pelosi? I think that's his first name, Paul. Don't quote me. I'm just guessing. I don't know what his name is. Yeah, they still sell it. They still sell Mad Dog 2020. I think he had some in his system when they did the toxicology. They didn't release it to the public though. Oh yeah, for sure, man. For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Crazy, man. So look at it. They said that President Biden has bumbled upwards as he reaches the midway point of his term after failing to deliver on key campaign promises, but escaping the shellacking that voters give most presidents near the 2-year mark. Biden promised in 2020 to quote unquote beat C-19 and get the virus under control. Listen, shout out to COVID-19 because COVID-19 won. You know what I'm saying? I've never seen anybody just say, fuck it. That's what they did with COVID-19. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but COVID-19 is going crazy right now. They about to shut down stuff in China, and the reason why they haven't is because the Chinese people are having, they in the streets protesting against it. They literally they just threw their hands up with COVID. We can't control this shit. Oh, well, on to the next thing. Open everything back up. Have you ever seen anything like that? COVID definitively beat the world's ass. They just gave up. Maine said, Maine's still wearing a mask. You know what I'm saying? Biden said he was going to get COVID under control. Yeah, the way that they now have it under control is just ignoring it. We just going to act like it don't exist. Although lockdowns have ended and unemployment has largely recovered, let's see, I told you guys, COVID-19 is on the rise again this winter, with more than 44% of U.S. countries experiencing medium to high levels of the cases. COVID has not gone anywhere. If you guys aren't subscribed to my C19 report channel, take a moment, make sure you guys go and subscribe to that channel, because I actually plan on doing a stream about C19 tomorrow if I get time, because there's some crazy stuff going on with C19. So if you guys aren't subscribed to that, take a moment, subscribe to Blacklight Revelations C19 report. I'm going to try to go live on that channel tomorrow and talk about some of the crazy stuff that's going on with C19. But C19 is out here kicking ass and taking notes. Look at this. Some communities are planning to return to mask mandates. It's getting bad. And they're just not even talking about it in the news. When is the last time you guys heard any news about C19? You remember back in the day when you would say anything about C19, like, you know, I have questions about this, and they would just zap your video, zap your Facebook post, zap your Twitter account. I had about, I want to say like 5,000 subscribers on TikTok. I literally posted a 60-second clip from CBS News talking about COVID-19. They deleted my account. No questions asked. They just deleted it. And it was a news clip from CBS with no commentary over it. It wasn't possible to get COVID under control. And he didn't decide there were going to be variants that were as contagious as they are, said Matt Bennett, an executive vice president at Third Way, a center-left think tank in Washington. So again, we're dealing with these think tanks. We got to get a think tank, guys. That is something that we have to have. We got to get a media. We got to get think tanks. We got to get effective, quality think tanks. You know what I'm saying? We got to get think tanks that give information to the politicians that we choose, and we got to have a media to be able to give those politicians a voice. That's what Fox does with white supremacists and with the Manhattan Institute. And with Breitbart. Breitbart does that too. If you got to play the game, if you're going to play the game, you got to get the pieces together. Know what I'm saying? So now here it says there's not a single world leader who I think would tell you that they're completely satisfied with the way C19 was handled in their country. The nation's economic performance under Joe Biden has been a mixed bag of record high inflation, rising interest rates, and steady job gains from the lockdown era. Has anybody noticed increasing prices? If you guys have noticed prices increasing and prices on the rise, gas prices on the rise, give me a thumbs up. If you guys are not seeing the effects of that, give me a thumbs down. But that's happening. That's going on as we speak. You know what I'm saying? That's going down as we speak. So that's it. I think. Yeah, that's it. Now, my question is, with all of this being said, how do we handle a situation where Joe Biden runs a second term? Brother Eli said, nah, not gas prices. They're lower where I'm at in Arizona, but food went up. I ain't mad at it, Deformed Pretty Boy. I feel it. So I got some extra time, you guys. So if there's anybody that's interested in calling in and, saying your piece on any of the issues that we discussed, you guys know how we do. What I'm going to do is I got to reuse the intro. So like I said, I have a call in thing for tomorrow. But right now, all I got is the intro one. You guys hit the StreamYard link. And once the intermission is over, we will get it cracking. All right. If it's nobody that calls in, then we'll end the stream. All right. So here we go. All right, y'all. So it looks like there are no contestants, but it's all good, though. I appreciate everybody watching. If you guys have not smashed that like button, make sure that you smash that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Like I said, I'm going to try to do that stream tomorrow on Blacklight Revelations C19 report. So if you're not subscribed to that channel, make sure you subscribe to that channel. All you got to do is just hit the about page while you over there. Sub all my backup channels, and I will catch you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.